Welcome to Craft Therapy. It has been a minute since I've been back here, and typically I don't do voiceovers or do voicing on my videos, but I think I'm going in a new direction, and voicing may be a thing that I would want to do from now on. Anywho, for reference, today is Thursday, September 19th, 2024. The project I'm about to show is a project I started working on in the first week of August of this year. I was basically sitting down, and I have a function coming up in November of this year. I don't go out a lot, and I don't see myself buying a top just to wear to one function and then I don't know if I'm going to wear it ever again. And I thought to myself, the way that I've been thinking lately as well with regards to fabric and material that I put against my skin, I have been wanting to go more in the natural fibers direction, aka cotton, linen, wool, that sort of a thing. But living in the tropics, cotton is maybe the best way to go. And crochet thread, being mercerized cotton, is an excellent option. And so I thought to myself, why don't you, for the first time in your life, never having done it before, think about crocheting yourself a top? And so that's what I did. Now, I am about 6 weeks into the project before I started recording, which is why I stated the date at the beginning, because I did not think about recording this as a project because I knew it was going to be a pretty long one. Now, the function is in the third week of November, I think, so I have about 2 months to go. But I really want to be finished by at least the first week of November, so that if I have any things to adjust, I can do so accordingly. But enough of that. So what I'm working with is a granny square pattern. So these are black motifs, black granny square motifs or black granny squares. And I did them 18 in width and length, so to speak, and by 18 I mean 18 stitches. So if you count from one end to the other, you get 18 stitches, and that's the base of the blouse. Then I also have been working on these smaller motifs. I have a few of them single to show as well. These smaller motifs, which will be interspersed with the black ones. I will show the design as well. So this is a pink, this is the purple, yes, this is the right side, this is the purple, pretty, isn't it? And this is the turquoise. Let me get that back out of the way. This is the turquoise. Now, all of these threads, these colors rather, I had lying around from another major project that I have been working on for a couple of years. That project involves a hexagon, I think it is, a hexagon motif. And I've been working on it for a couple of years now. And by years, I do mean like more than 5 years, possibly. And it's one of those projects that, you know, you put aside, you do something else. When you have a little time, you come back in, you do a few more pieces of it. So it's really a long-term ongoing project. But anyway, these are the motifs that I have already joined. So let me just put these aside and show you some of the individual ones. There we go. Poly bags are a lifesaver in my crafting. They hold every little thing. I guess overseas maybe you'd be using Ziploc bags or something else, but poly bags here in Jamaica are fine. So these are some of the single motifs that I have been doing, and this idea, I didn't see a pattern or anything on YouTube or whatever. All I saw really was a granny square pattern, which I've done granny squares for other projects before, and I just, you know, thought to myself of how I would combine them. So these are 6 across. So what you're going to find is that 3 of these will go along one side of the black motif, the bigger black motif. So I did several combinations. So I did plain pink. There's also plain purple and plain turquoise, right? And then I did combinations of each of them. I'm just playing with the combinations of how they would basically look, how I would combine them, what would have a pink center, turquoise center, a purple center, etc., etc. And that's how I did it. Now I do have, although I have some of these done, because I had to use extra of the turquoise base for the color of the blouse, I ran short on the motifs. So I am going to be doing, I'm not short on the single color, but I am short on some of these. So I am going to be doing a few more of these motifs. So I'll show you that process in terms of what I'm doing, and then we're going to be putting them together. So currently I am finished with all of the bigger motif pieces that I want in terms of these bigger joint pieces for the purple and the pink. As I said, I'm going to do a few more of these small ones, and then I'm also going to show how I join them, because I found a really simple stitch on YouTube. You know, YouTube has everything. I found a really simple stitch that I loved on YouTube, where the joining of the squares, it didn't leave it being open, because what I didn't want was the size of the motif to be compromised, because I'm going to be joining these. Let me just show a quick example. If I'm going to be joining the 18 to what is now 18, they still have to, in a sense, be the same size or be the same length. If I had done any of the joinings that were more decorative in terms of they'd be spreading it a little bit more, I would end up with the size, or the length rather, not being the same when the time comes to join these. So I will show that when I get there. Now basically I need 18 of these to do the front and the back of the blouse, and I think I'm currently at about 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No, something is off with my count. Oh, here's some more. 12, 13, and I have one on the thread now, on the spool of the thread, makes it 14. So let me show you the threads that I use. Let's get all of these put out of the way. Of course, black. So I have this one on the spool now, currently doing. Listen, these things are very tedious, and so the brain that I have, I will have 20 tabs open at the same time, and so I break it up into chunks. So I will maybe do a few rows of this and then move on to another motif or something like that. That's how I keep it from becoming monotonous for me. So of course I have the black being the base, and I think I have about 2 more rows of black that are not yet opened. This is the brand that I use. We get this in Jamaica at Patel's. I think the name is on it somewhere. No, it's not. It just says made in India. Usually there's a little thing that says distributed by Patel's. No? Okay, it's not there. But this is the brand that I use. And this is the brand that I get mostly at Patel's. Most of my thread I buy at Patel's in Jamaica. On Orange Street. If you're in Jamaica, you know where Patel's is. On Orange Street, they have tons of crochet thread, wool. I'm not sure if they have macrame cord. I get my macrame cord online. But dressmakers, you know Patel's, right? When the time comes for you to get all the different color threads that you need to do all your dressmaking, that is where we go. So Patel's. I can get them in Woolworth as well. And I also sometimes get them at Ligoni Dragon Garden if I happen to be uptown. Prices vary a little bit. I find Woolworth to be a little more pricey than Patel's and Dragon Garden. And what you'll find happening is, depending on where I am, is what will determine what I buy and when I buy it. And if I'm in desperate need, sometimes I'll be driving all over the place looking for a particular color. Case in point, this pretty one. Now this is called Peacock, I believe. It looks a little bit different on the camera. It looks a little bit more blue on the camera, but in reality it has more of like a turquoise-ish, emerald greenish tint to it. So it's not really as blue as it's looking on the camera. But I think this shade, still Aunt Lydia's, the name of it is, if it's not Peacock, it's Parakeet. I will double check because I have another, on the other project, the long-term project, I have Parakeet working with. And Parakeet, I think, is maybe the lighter blue to this. So this may be Peacock. Then I have, of course, my favorite color, purple. Can't go wrong with purple. And finally, in the same Aunt Lydia's, we have the hot pink. Yes, hot pink for this one. Right, so that's what I've been using. Now, so far I have used, based on my last count, and I'm down to this much on this spool of thread. But what I do to keep track sometimes of a project like this is I keep track of my empty spools so that I know how many spools of thread I have used. So if I ever have to price a project in terms of for sale, I price based on the number of spools of thread that I would have gone through for that project. And basically, let us say a project doesn't even complete an entire spool. Once I pull a spool of thread, I price accordingly. So the way going forward for this channel is when I do projects like this, and you're interested in making a purchase, you can DM me and we can discuss the prices. We can discuss shipping. I will ship within the island, or of course I can ship overseas as well. You just know that with the Jamaican postage system, it will take a little bit longer. My curtain is entering the chat. It will take a little bit longer to get to where you are, and so we can discuss accordingly. Alright, so now that you are up to date with where I am with this project and how long it has taken me to get here, we will pick up on I'm going to finish the black one that I currently have on spool. I'm going to finish that online for you to see, and I'm also going to do the extra motifs that I need in the turquoise, and I will show you that as well as show you how to join it, and then we will get on with the project. So each time that I add something or do something else, I will do a timestamp or a date stamp rather, so that we can kind of keep track of how long this project is taking. And one of the things that I want to mention when it comes on to art and craft projects like this, persons who are in the industry in terms of being artists, artisans, so you have your wood turners, you have your embroiderers, your crocheters, your macrame artists, your art people that work with paint and stuff like that. And we're going to be doing some of that here as well. Pay them It's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of material. Pay them. They deserve every penny that they get. So, you're up to date with where I am with a Courage project. See you in a few when I get the other motifs done, get the other black motifs done so that I can start joining and moving forward with the project. So our deadline for completion is, I'm setting it at the 7th of November. Alright, so let us see how far we get and how close we get to that deadline completion date, whether we complete it before, on, or after. Adios. See you in a few.